a lot has happened in the 45 years for us to say the fact that this program is still here, we're doing something right. When we talked to parents on the night of the reception, we asked them to go back to that first day when they were taking their young son or daughter to kindergarten. And now we're standing on the cusp of their last first day of compulsory education. We have a lot of sentiment surrounding it, as the parents do, when they get to that senior year with their student and say, okay, this is the last year I have them fully within my care before I send them out. And we think the same way. This is the last time that we'll get to talk to them and get them ready for that next step in their life, whether that is going off to college or going directly into the work world. We want to make sure that we did our part to prepare them as well.
Student Board was started as a way to get financial literacy into the schools. At that time, we didn't have anything really, and we also saw it as a way to use the Student Bank Board as ambassadors for the bank. And from that place forward, it's been very successful. To be educated on finances, because so many times they don't teach it in the high schools. And we felt like that we had an opportunity to show them the different aspects of banking, not only as financial literacy, but also looking at it as a career, because most of them haven't decided what they want to do. So as they approach college, they can look at that aspect. We met once a month, and it lasted about an hour. We brought in different people from the bank, the different areas, talking about loans, credit, budgeting. We talked about trust. So we had a full realm of topics that we used each month. And it was our own bankers coming in and teaching the young people.
Well, I participated in the then Longview Bank and Trust Student Board of Directors in 1984 and 1985. So that was one of the early classes. I remember it being a great experience. I remember we had a lot of fun, meeting with some of my existing friends, met some new friends through that. And probably what stands out to me is just kind of getting to interact with adults and learn from adults who weren't our parents or teachers, and really being kind of treated as adults and maybe tested as adults in some ways too, as they were challenging us to build our financial knowledge and our leadership skills. So it was overall a great experience and something I'm very happy to have had the opportunity to participate in. Some of the financial skills that were taught through the Student Board of Directors, perhaps surprisingly, I'd not been exposed to previously. And again, I say surprisingly, because my father was the CEO of the bank, but that old maxim about the cobbler's children have no shoes, that sort of thing. So I learned as much during the student board year as I had perhaps from my dad in a practical sense. And so, like I said, it really did kind of set a foundation for me, gave me some basic financial skills and an understanding of the way business works. And so again, that kind of set me on the path towards studying that and then building my own career based upon that foundational knowledge. My biggest takeaway from the student board is it helped me decide a career path. It probably is what helped me make the decision to study finance and economics during my college years. And although I went a different route initially out of school, I ultimately came back to the financial services industry. So I think it's fair to say that the seeds of my career were really sown during that year on the Longview Bank and Trust, now Texas Bank and Trust, Student Board of Directors.
So I was almost immediately involved with student board as soon as I joined the bank in April of 2004. At that time, I was a business development officer, but was working very closely with Connie Milligan, who was in marketing at the time, and she was actually running the program. And so she asked me to, join her in helping facilitate the program. So it was a great eye-opening experience to see how we were running the bank's longest running financial literacy program that we'd had since the late 70s. It was kind of a well-oiled machine at that point when I joined, and it was just really interesting experience working alongside of her and seeing how we conducted this program, because it was fascinating to see the impact that we were having on these students year after year. What I found really unique about student board is that I did not grow up with this type of money management education. I came of age in the late 80s, and while I did work for a credit union when I was younger and throughout high school and even college, I wasn't being taught this in school, and there wasn't, even my credit union wasn't even offering this outside of the membership. And so I was fascinated by that the bank was taking this opportunity to provide this level of education to students, because they weren't getting it in their classroom at the time. And it was real world information that was being provided to these students, because the bank is telling you, this is what we see with our customers. This is how you can prepare yourself with your money management education as you go forward beyond high school. So I really like that, because I didn't see anything like that when I was growing up, and it would have been beneficial. Absolutely.
I'm Audrey Wilson, and I'm a senior at Grace Community School this year. I knew a few seniors last year that went through the program and had nothing but good things to say about it. And specifically, my guidance counselor advised me to apply, and I'm so happy that I did. Coming into it, I honestly wasn't sure what we were going to be learning, what exactly it was that we were going to do. I had heard something about like a stock market game, and so I kind of had the preconceived notion that we were going to learn how to invest and about the stock market, but we've learned so much more beyond that. So I just feel like it's so great to have an opportunity to come to a place like Student Board where you can hear maybe a different perspective, or, learn something that your parents is kind of like second nature to them, so they didn't really think to introduce it to you. And so I guess I've just gained a whole new perspective, and I've learned a lot. I feel like going forward, it will benefit me, because I know I'll be faced with a lot of decisions that I have to make on my own. So
you feel like you're prepared for those decisions?
Absolutely.
I worked with the program as soon as I started the bank, and then I moved into the role of leading the marketing division, and with that took over doing student board would come under my responsibilities. And so we ran the program the way it had been run for most of its history up until that time. We had one singular curriculum. We took the students through a stock game. We had our officers talk to the students at regular meetings. But through evaluations from the students, we learned that they wanted to have more hands-on with the education and not maybe just the sit and lecture format. So we took that to heart, and we instituted in 2011 having more a project-based type curriculum with the students. We divided them into teams, and we did different activities, and that curriculum would change every 2 years to keep it relevant and keep it meaningful for the students that came from year to year. Our first project was the Fortune 100 project. One of our more popular, when we instituted the 2-year rotation, was the idea that we had divided the students into teams, and we asked them to create a small business. And that could be anything from dog walking, a bake sale, a car wash. And we gave them $100 cash loan from the bank. We asked them to open the project or the business in the March of that year and then close it down at the end of March. And the team that had the highest net profits after repaying their loan was named the TBT Small Business of the Year for Student Board. And it was phenomenal because in the 2 years that we ran the program, we asked the students to donate all of their net profits from those small businesses to a charity of their choice. And over that time period of 2 years, we gave $20,000 back to about 10 to 15 different charities that the students chose. And it was phenomenal, the education that they got from a money management standpoint, running a small business, but the impact that business could have back in the community to those who need it most. So it was a number of lessons that we had. It was our first and one of our most popular. One of the things that we are most proud of with the program, because even after 4 decades, we are still showing great interest from our students in surrounding communities of wanting to be involved in this type of program. You would think after this number of years, we would run out of curriculum for them or students wouldn't find it as valuable. But what we're actually seeing is the reverse. Beginning in 2009, we expanded the program. And so we went from having 5 schools just in the Longview market to expanding to our Tyler market and bringing in 5 additional schools in that market. And both Longview and Tyler over the years since have now grown to 6 schools each, representing both public education and private schools. And then in 2013, when we merged with Lindale State Bank out of the Lindale community, they had modeled the student board program after the one that we had here at Texas Bank and Trust. And when they became a branch of TBT, we brought their program on. And so now we actually have 3 programs and 13 schools are represented throughout East Texas. And what we have seen from that is not just expansion of these schools and expansion into markets. We've been able to diversify the students that come, not only from a racial standpoint and ethnic background, but also, socioeconomic with, the different schools that we can touch in the different communities. And so it's been impactful for all students in different levels and in different ways. The real life experience was actually one of my favorite of the curricula that we did. And we only did it for 2 years, and we had thought about it becoming a signature curriculum for the program. The idea is that we would have the students simulate their first year of college.
Well, Sherry and I had actually gone to a prevention simulation, and we went through it all day, and we came back. I told Sherry, I said, we need to bring this to student board. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to bring it to student board. But we need to bring it where it's more of for students. So we came to the marketing team, and so we talked about how it would be to have a day of being a college student. How it would be if, you went to school, you had a job, you had to go to class. So with all that, we did have to invite our friends to help us. So this took over 90 people in the bank. They actually went to school. When they came in and listened to one of the speakers, it was something to help them if it was budgeting loans, anything like that. Then they went to the professor and took a test on it. If they didn't go to work, weren't there on time, they got fired. They had to go find another job. They got paid for their work, and they lived in a living situation with other kids. So, it was a lot to it. And when we did that for 2 years, parents that had already heard about it, they were really sad we were not doing it. It kept on and on. But each year it took 900 working hours to put that on.
The whole idea was there's a lot involved with managing your money. And we just wanted them to see the different parts of that. It's not just simply, picking up the phone and calling mom and dad. Sometimes you have to do that for yourself and earn that money on your own. But then you have to know money coming in, money going out. And that was, really the lesson that we wanted to teach them, that they really had to learn to manage it. And what's it like living with other people that you have to depend on for them to do their part as well. But what we found at the end, it actually became very emotional for some of the students, to the point that it was overwhelming, that they couldn't go to class because they didn't have the transportation to get there. They couldn't afford it. Their on-campus job was not paying enough. And then we would hit them with what we call life bombs. These unexpected expenses that might happen in your life, but they could also be unexpected windfalls, like your mom and dad decided to send you some extra money, or you found $50 laying on the ground, but your unexpected expense could be a flat tire on the way to campus. And so the students found that it was a lot to manage. Even in a simulation, it was a lot to manage for them, to make sure that they got to class on time, to make sure they paid their bills, to make sure that they had a job that could make them a sufficient amount of money to pay all of their expenses. And so it was quite an eye-opening experience that a lot of the students had. And we did have a few of our students actually get quite emotional about it because they were overwhelmed by everything that it took. So it was probably the closest that we could get to real life for them in terms of this type of simulation. And we certainly would like to bring it back at a later date.
I said, it's all worth it. If, of course they had to have learned something. Some of them said they learned they didn't want to go to college, but that's not what we wanted. But a lot of them were just like, I didn't realize what my parents have gone through. So it really just that they've learned to appreciate their parents. That made it all worth it.
In my opinion, financial literacy is, if not one of the most important thing for anybody to understand. Our world is built on finance. Most things that matter are built on finance. And if you understand that, you can understand most things. I'm really happy to have this course and know that now I can kind of more or less go away from my parents and trying to, instead of understanding not just what they're telling me to do with my money to be the best, but now understanding why they're telling me to do it. And now I can make those decisions for myself with my own conscience instead of having to just be told. That's something that feels really freeing to me.
I think this class has been awesome to just kind of show us, okay, maybe we can go without buying that. And it's just something that's going to be really good for the high schoolers going into college and help them have a better understanding of what they should and shouldn't buy, and the thought process behind that while you're alone at college by yourself, just trying to make decisions.
I learned a lot about things that I just never really knew about, like credit cards. I didn't know how they worked, or just really how to manage them in a way that wouldn't get me into extreme debt. And so I think this board especially just kind of helped me regulate some of those questions and kind of figure out where I'm going next.
One of the things that we're always, we're pleased, and when we do evaluations after every year with the students, and those evaluations that come back and go, thank you for all that you taught us, but I'm now thankful too for what my parents have been doing to manage our household. And they go, oh, now I get it. Why it's important that we save money, why it's important that we look at our needs versus our wants to keep our household going. And it's not our intention to put it out there what their parents have been doing for them, but from what we teach them, they recognize it. They recognize all the things that their parents have been telling them as it relates to their family's finances because it makes more sense for them. And so that's a great moment that we've said, okay, the light bulb has gone on, and we've been a part of helping them, have that knowledge now.
I believe that we reached our goal of showing them financial aspects of budgeting and how to prepare for the future, because we're seeing over time the importance of parents that have been on the board, the importance of the program, that they want their children, when they get to high school, to be in the group too. So we're seeing it generation to generation now. And I think that's really target for all of us is to teach the next generation and then the next generation about financial literacy.
Yeah, I was real excited to have my children show interest in the program. And as a matter of fact, just recently I was having a conversation with my daughter who had been through the program about some financial challenges and just money management issues. And we brought up the fact that even for her, a lot of the basic understanding she had of business and finance was gained through her participation in the student board. So not only was I proud to have them participate in the program, I was really pleased to see that they did gain some fundamental knowledge through the program that still pays off for them in this today.
Growing student board, we are like those proud parents too. So when we talk to parents on the night of the reception, we ask them to go back to that first day when they were taking their young son or daughter to kindergarten. And now we're standing on the cusp of their last, first day of compulsory education. And we think of that way when we're looking back on our history of student board. Did we know that this was going to be the leader in everything that we did in the area of financial literacy? We had hopes, certainly, when I talked to those who were there at the beginning. Did we know that we would have this 45-year-old child that we would be so proud of? Maybe not. So we are those parents that have seen our kids grow, and now in embarking on this milestone, it is the same for us. We are just as emotional when they bring their students to us. We're emotional that we get another year of working with another group of students and having that impact with them and being that last threshold before they say goodbye to high school. And we're hoping, just like their parents, that we've served them well, that we've infused them with some knowledge that they can take out into the world and be better for it. So it's an emotional time for us as well, to see the growth of this program, to see it continue to expand, to see it still be relevant to the audience that we are trying to reach, and to know that we have done right by it. I think we have a lot of sentiment surrounding it, as the parents do when they get to that senior year with their student and say, okay, this is the last year I have them fully within my care before I send them out. And we think the same way. This is the last time that we'll get to talk to them and get them ready for that next step in their life, whether that is going off to college or going directly into the work world. We want to make sure that we did our part to prepare them as well. So a lot has happened in the 45 years for us to say the fact that this program is still here, we're doing something right.
So this is one thing I just want to read to y'all before y'all leave. It's something that you can remember while you're gone away from home, because sometimes when you are gone away from your family, you get to wondering about things. So this is 8 signs that you can remember that you're doing well in life. You're going to have a roof over your head, whether you're in an apartment or in a dorm. That's one sign. The second one is that you've ate today. You're going to have some kind of food while you're gone, even if it's the candy in the backpack that you're packing right now. That you have clean water, you have a good heart. If you have a good heart, you have a good heart. You know that. You're on student board and you've been with us, and I can tell by the look in your face you have a good heart. You wish well for others, someone cares for you, and that you're breathing and you have clean clothes. So don't ever stress over what you don't have. Just be grateful for the things that you do have, because there's always somebody out there that wishes that they had something else. So just remember to go and learn, have fun. Don't rush it away. Just enjoy, and you're going to meet so many different people, whether you go far away or you're just at Tyler or wherever. But I've enjoyed every minute of this. I'm glad I got to share it with y'all.